What's up, everyone? I'm DJ Hamilton, and you're tuned into the DJ Sports Show, where we give you the latest, greatest, and most exciting sports stories in the world of sports, from interviews to having people's stories heard and told. This is the DJ Sports Show. Let's get it! What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, DJ Hamilton, DJ Sports Show. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button and share with anybody you know who loves sports. I see a lot of y'all watching, but y'all ain't subscribed. Subscribe, it don't cost money. Hit that subscribe button and share, so that way we can continue to get bigger and grow more. On this episode today, man, he's not with us today. He's busy, so I got my guy Dylan, who was supposed to be with us last time, but now he's here. We'll talk some AFC South and AFC North. My guy is out in Arizona right now and working on his masters, man. How you doing out there, man?
Hey man, it's been
Out in
good so
Phoenix.
far. Yeah, I'm just getting used to this environment, this weather. It's kind of weird being back in school, but I'm here and I got a mission and a goal to accomplish, and that's what I'm gonna do. But I appreciate always being on your show, and I'm always happy to collab with you on anything that you got going on.
Yeah, man. I know you got. I was like, my guy Dylan's moving up in the world. He better background, everything. I was like, my guy slow. He got the fresh cut. He got the curls. We were messing around before. We were both like, man, we both got the fresh cut and we got the curls going. I'm like, damn, we both look ready to go to a party. So
Man, I
yeah,
gotta find a barber out here, so we're gonna see how everything plays out.
yeah. But we'll get into that in the after show. But first thing first, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk the AFC South, and then we'll do the AFC North. The first team I have right now is the Tennessee Titans. So last season they were 3-14. Man, arguably the worst team in the league last season. Missed the playoffs. So some key notes I have for them. They drafted Cam Ward, we know, number one quarterback. Everybody was talking about him as best quarterback coming into the draft last year. He's looking like their new franchise cornerstone. I know he's been very vocal in training camp. Everybody's saying he did earlier this offseason say that the Titans were mid and that he was mid, and that they have a lot of work to do. And as someone who, if you're watching from the outside looking in, I think that's a great way for your franchise leader who's coming in, exhibiting leadership qualities, especially when you're an organization trying to turn it around, especially in a division where a lot of the guys and teams are so young. And the Titans, they're trying to do that, and I think Ward is the perfect guy for that. I want to see what he does this season. I'm going to try to watch some Titans games, see what he does, even though they still have a long way to go. But I think them drafting him as the quarterback and their new franchise cornerstone to embark on for the future, I think is a step in the right direction. They signed left tackle Dan Moore to a 4-year, $82 million contract. That kind of bolsters their offensive line because they're going to need to protect Ward, and hopefully he can play at his optimal level. And in addition, they did develop third-year pro Peter Skoronsky, who's been getting better every single year. They drafted J.C. Latham from Alabama. They signed offensive guard Kevin Zeitler, which should have a much significantly improved offensive line. So those guys, I think, are going to be the main warriors who are going to be protecting their shining armor and their knight in Ward. And they do have a reliable running back as well in Tony Pollard. 3 straight years, 1,000 yards rushing. They hope for running back Ty J. Spears to take a leap and break out this season, who has shown some flashes of brilliance in his first 2 years as well. They added a veteran wide receiver in Tyler Lockett, who's a former All-Pro receiver from the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to give Ward a reliable target in his rookie season. I think that's going to open things up for him and their passing game. And he's someone who's going to be a veteran leader in the locker room, and who provides productivity on the field. Even at this advanced stage of his career, he's still someone who, could be a number 1 or number 2 receiver. And I know they did lose Nick Westbrook icon and linebacker Jack Gibbons, but I think this is a team with the weapons and improved offensive line they have. They have a reliable running back in Tony Pollard. You have a veteran receiver who's also still productive, and Tyler Lockett coming in, who's I think he could really guide Ward on the NFL life to see how to keep him out of trouble, how to handle your finances. I think he's going to be that great veteran locker room leader and vocal voice in there. But yeah, Cam Ward coming in. You have a great offensive line coming in. And then, I think this is a team. My record prediction for them going like 6-11 or 5-10, 5-12, excuse me. And I still see them missing the playoffs, but I would say, yeah, I have them going 6-11 and things of that nature.
Well, yeah, I think there's always improvement to be made, and the Titans did have a good offseason in terms of addressing certain needs and also getting depth with guys like Xavier Woods, Jamont Jones, Carlos Watkins, Jahad Ward. They also have the 8th easiest schedule this year, so that will allow them to kind of ease into some of the growing pains that they're going to experience this year, especially with a brand new quarterback. Um, you're a little nicer than me. I've got them at like 4 or 5 wins, just because I
Yeah,
just don't trust.
yeah,
I don't. I mean, ideally they could hit 6 or 7 wins. Ideally, I
yeah,
don't trust them yet, and from what I've seen in preseason, but then again, preseason doesn't tell you the whole story. I mean,
yeah.
the Lions in 2008 went 4-0 in the preseason, just to go 0-16 in the regular season. So
That's
you
crazy.
you never, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
You really never know until those bright lights are on and you're playing full, you know, 60-minute football with with um a new team and a new personnel. But I feel like that right now they are like 3 years away from being 3 years away. You know that phrase?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I know what
but
you mean.
I will say though, if Cam Ward comes out and is hitting the ground running, if he has a rookie year comparable to CJ Stroud 2 years ago or
Or
Jaden
Jaden
Daniels
Daniels. Yep.
last year, right? That changes the whole trajectory and scope of what they can do because they're not in a tough division. They're not in a division that's really going to be lit, full of a lot of competition and a
No
lot of
contenders, really.
high playoff stakes, anything like that. So no, like I mean, I like the Texans. I think they're gonna have a bounce back year. They're actually like a team do I think will bounce back from last year, but overall, yeah, Titans. I'm going still in that 4 to 5 win range, but they could potentially do 6 or 7. It just depends on how Cam Ward and the rest of the new pieces come in.
Exactly. Nah, I believe you. We both have them missing the playoffs. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah, easily. All right, so the next team we have is the Indianapolis Colts, man. Man, Indiana. So they signed quarterback Daniel Jones from the Giants, cornerback Javarius Ward from the 49ers, safety Cameron Bynum from Minnesota. They drafted Tyler Warren out of Penn State, defensive end JT Tamalo. I don't know. Some of these names are hard to say. And cornerback Justin Wally. They fired the defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, who pretty much was like a one and done for them. They did bring in former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, who guided Cincinnati's defense to a top 10 NFL finish in interceptions, pick sixes, and passes defensed against. And defensive end Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in a career high in sacks set in 2023. So this is a guy who has a pedigree, who has a resume, and this is and in 2022, the Bengals defense held opponents to 20.1 points per game, which was tied fifth, and a 58.9 completion percentage, the lowest rate in NFL during that season. So this is a guy coming in with a resume I think that could help propel the Colts defense. That really kind of struggled last season, and they're going to really need to get after it because last season they were they were terrible at stopping the third down. They were 29th in third down conversions allowed. So, and the team did a solid job of containing the run. They were 7th in opponent yards per rush, but they struggled against the pass, which they finished 27th in the NFL last season. They did lose quarterback Joe Flacco, who's now in the Browns. They lost their offensive lineman in Will Fries and multi-time Pro Bowler and former All-Pro Ryan Kelly to Minnesota. And that kind of sucks. You lost both your offensive linemen who were studs to one team, the Vikings. Damn. So I think this offensive line is going to take a big step back this season. And you have Daniel Jones coming in as your quarterback with a bad offensive line. We kind of saw that story play out in New York. In New York, I don't think that's going to go well if I'm the Colts. So I'm not really that excited for Indiana this season. But they do have 4 guys with over 100 plus tackles coming back to the team. Zaire Franklin, Nick Cross, EJ Speed, Jalen Jones. Franklin led the league in tackles last season with 173. So I think their defense will be solid this year, but I'm worried about their offense. They're a depleted offensive line. You lost two key guys, a quarterback who's Daniel Jones with a bad offensive line. We've seen it like the story before, and I don't see this team going that far. I'd even put a prediction for this team, but I'm gonna guess it right now. I think they'll go probably 5-12 this season, 5-12.
I got them in the 5 to 7 win range, but I'm holding out hope that Anthony Richardson figures it out because there's no universe where Daniel Jones is going to lead you to anything of note.
No.
I know people got fooled by that one little playoff run he had a couple years ago in New York.
That's why he got paid.
And that's why he got paid, and that's what's kept him in the league. And, seems like a good guy, but as a quarterback, he's not good. And I know people are going to say, well, what does Anthony Richardson prove? But what Anthony Richardson has is a ceiling that Daniel Jones doesn't even come close to. And you hedge your bet on the ceiling far more than someone who has clear limitations, someone who is who he is, and it's not going to change. Daniel Jones was overdrafted in the first place. I think that's largely the problem is that, there wouldn't be this extra scrutiny on him that might be, might seem like a lot, but the Giants, they were so enthralled by him that they picked him 6th when he would have been available in the 2nd round and the 3rd round and maybe even the 4th round.
Out of Duke.
And they, they saw, oh, well, he's being coached by Peyton and Eli's old quarterback coach, David Cutcliffe. Just because he's coaching them does not mean you're going to get the same result with him. And the thing with the Colts that's frustrating is they actually have very talented skill personnel. I would low-key argue that they probably have the best skill personnel in the entire division, right? The receiving corps is very stacked. Michael Pittman is a bona fide number 1. They just drafted Tyler Warren, who was the Mackey Award winner coming out of college, out of Penn State. They still got Jonathan Taylor, who
a beast running back when he's healthy.
Top 5 at minimum, top 5 running back. I mean, it's not like this team has a shortage of weapons. They just need someone to get them the ball. And with Richardson, he's got the arm to make every throw. It's all about accuracy. It's all about his touch, and it's all about staying healthy. And it's not been a good sign that he's not been able to stay healthy so far in preseason. So I'm hoping that he figures it out this year. He's able to take a real step in his career. Otherwise, it's not going to look good for him either, And because if not, then they're going to be in the market for a quarterback again. That because you at some point you have to have somebody who can maximize the talent on this roster. Yes, their offensive line does need to improve, but you still need someone who is going to be able to play behind center and deliver some strikes. But they don't have that right now. It could be Richardson. And it could be Daniel Jones. He could have, we saw last year, Sam Darnold have a great year. We've been seeing a lot of different quarterbacks that we would not expect have a resurgence or flip a narrative in their career. Baker Mayfield a couple of years ago, Geno Smith a couple of years ago, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes being in a new environment with new coaching and better personnel around you, it allows your proper talent to shine. I don't see it with Daniel Jones, though. I've watched enough Daniel Jones footage to see he is exactly who he is at this stage of his career. He's been that same player since he got drafted in. There's been very little change up and down in his career. Versus with Anthony Richardson, he's had a lot of injuries. It's been very hard to properly assess him because you already knew he was a raw prospect. I was saying that he needed to sit behind a veteran anyway. Yeah. And he's had injuries, so he's not been able to really maintain and build up momentum and consistency. So, yeah, my prediction is somewhere in the 5 to 7 win range. They might do maybe push 7 to 8 if they, they have a pretty easy schedule too. But it all comes down to the quarterback play, and that's the most important position out there. So we're gonna see.
Exactly. No, I feel you. So next team we have here is the Jacksonville Jaguars. 4-13 last year, missed the playoffs. So you come in this season with a two-way superstar rookie, supernova, Travis Hunter, man. We're talking about a guy who can play both ends of the field, wide receiver, cornerback. We're gonna see where he plays more this season, but I feel like that's gonna be an interesting dynamic. He brings a whole new, different set of dimensions to both sides of the football for them. He has great instincts defensively as a lockdown corner. His speed, his agility, quickness as a receiver. He has a chance, if he does play both positions and does well, he has a chance to win both defensive and offensive rookie of the year. I don't know if we've ever said that in NFL history. I don't know if that's ever been done. He has a chance to make history. Like, this guy has a chance to do something that's never been done. And alongside him, at the wide receiver position, because he's going to play both ends, they also brought in Diami Brown from the Browns, who's another receiving weapon they have, and they pair him with Brian Thomas Jr., who that gives him three guys right there for Trevor Lawrence that he has as wide receiver targets. And to me, it's kind of a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we said it the last few years, but now you have some real weapons around you. This is a team last year 20th in passing yards per play and 24th per game in passing yards. This team couldn't get anything going through the air. They kind of had to rely on their run game last year. And I want to see Trevor Lawrence now that they have these weapons around you. What's the excuse? I want to see it, because last year I took it in my notes. Last year, he played just 10 games, right? Season-ending surgery, I know, on his left shoulder, so that kind of limited his action. But his passing yards, touchdowns, touchdown percentage, passer rating, all decreased each season over these last few years, which is kind of a cause for concern if you're a franchise, someone who was a number one pick, came in with a lot of hype out of Clemson. I remember watching him at Clemson. People were comparing him to Peyton Manning, man. Like, he was getting compared to Peyton Manning. It says it all. And it's just been outside of that 2022 season, that was the year it's like, oh, we thought he was going to take the rise. We're like, oh, he's taking the next step in his second year. It's kind of gone downhill since then. It's kind of plateaued. And that's not a good sign. Especially, I think this year, if he doesn't really put up the numbers and they don't see some type of improvement, I'm not saying you got to go to the Super Bowl, but if you got to at least be a competent, maybe in the argument for top 10 quarterback, especially as a number one pick, and at least lead your team to like at least a wild card or in the playoff picture. And if you can't do that this season, I think it's time for the Jaguars to look for a new quarterback. And then other news I had and took notes of is I know they released their tight end Evan Ingram, and they traded wide receiver Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a future draft pick. And they also released wide receiver Gabe Davis. So they did lose some weapons as well, but when you have Diami Brown coming in, you still have Brian Thomas Jr., and you have Hunter, who I think could be a transformational talent if, continues to get stronger and stuff like that. And then they have a backup quarterback, Nick Mullins, who has former ties with offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. I see this team going 9-8 and missing the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be a true contender, but I don't think they're going to be so terrible enough where they're going to be in the bottom feeding of the NFL. As long as nobody gets injured, like with Hunter or Trevor Lawrence, I can see this team being like competent at best, but I still see them missing the postseason.
I largely think the same as far as what they're capable of. Also, another thing is, they're going to have a fully healthy running back room with, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, who I think that will take a lot of pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I feel like I defend him more than he should be getting defended. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know why. Like, people make fun of me. They're like,
you defend him a buck now.
People like, you defend Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. Why? I think both of them still have a lot of intangibles that have yet to be fully tapped into. I'm a firm believer of when you have a high ceiling, you have to see how far it can go. And I feel like with Trevor Lawrence, the excuses are running out, needless to say. Mm-hmm. And this is the best team that he has had in his entire career. So he's going to be judged on that. He's going to be held to that standard. And I think that having a better infrastructure is going to do him wonders, but it also puts him in a position where it's like you have no you have little to no excuse. If you aren't able to do something with this roster, the NFL is very big on what have you done for me lately. That playoff run that he had, playoff run is pushing it. But that game he had against the Chargers, right? That was it was like 2 years ago. It's almost a distant memory unless you're a Chargers fan. And it feels like he has regressed in some ways. And I looked at a stat that I remember they put up a stat graphic of Trevor Lawrence through his first 5 or 6 years and Daniel Jones. And their stats were identical, like down the line from yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, interceptions. And we know with Daniel Jones that like he was overdrafted. No one has ever looked at him as like the guy, other than I hate to say it, but other than the racist Giants fans, because those are the only people who I ever heard pick up on him. I'm so serious. I'm so
that's true.
Like they will do anything but draft a black quarterback. They will break their arms before doing that. So, with Trevor Lawrence, it's frustrating because the talent is there. It's evident. He's got the size, he's got the arm, he's got the athleticism. But he still struggles with he still struggles with his release at times. He still struggles with leading receivers. He throws too many hospital balls. And that's a problem. And he still has to work on, sometimes it's almost like he doesn't trust his arm. It's weird. It's like you have a strong arm, but you don't play confident. And it blows my mind because I'm thinking like you were the most winningest player coming out of the state of Georgia. You had all this pedigree and hype coming out of Clemson. What mentally happened to you in the pros? But it just goes to show you, right? The NFL is no joke. It's a different beast. But I think the greatest thing that the Jaguars did this offseason, aside from the Travis Hunter draft pick, was getting Liam Cohen as their coach. Because Liam Cohen is responsible for reviving Baker's career, right? Baker is now playing confident, playing like, I'm that guy. I was a number one pick. I was a Heisman. That's where they need to get Trevor Lawrence feeling like. He needs to be in that type of mindset. If he's not in that type of mindset, if he's not believing in himself, I'm not saying you got to be a cocky POS, but if you're not believing that you really are that guy and you're going to go out there and show the world why you were a number one pick, why you were getting called the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, all this generational talk, then you're going to be replaced. There's other quarterbacks that are coming up, especially in this draft, and that might be able to be plugged in and hit the ground running. So I think that's the hugest thing. That's unfortunately where all of the attention is going to be on. But they have other players. I really love Josh. I love Josh Allen's game. I love Devin Lloyd's game. I like that they've got depth, next to Trayvon Walker. They got a guy, having a guy like Emmanuel Ogba. But overall, Eric Armstead, I thought that was a great pickup for them.
Oh yeah.
He's fully now into the system. He came in last year. He's fully in it now. He knows the whereabouts. So it's all about for them execution. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Travis Hunter, obviously, because of his two-way ability. How does he fit? They've so far said he's going to play a lot more snaps at receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then he's going to get like eased into playing, corner, DB, that whole nature. So I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I do think that this is going to be a team to watch, exactly. Which sounds crazy, but. And one thing too is I believe they go to London this year, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think they're one of the teams on London.
Well, one thing we know about those Jaguars, they turn into the Patriots of the 2000s when they go to London. So that's one thing that their fans have to look forward to. They might as well
play the Rams the 19th.
Oh yeah, they're probably.
Yep.
I would
19th.
for all the bettors out there, take the over in that game. The Jaguars are going to win that game because they turn into they they
It's like
turn
Super Bowl
into
contender.
they turn into it right. They turn into a whole Super Bowl contender when they're out there in
Oh
London. They might
man,
as well call themselves the London Jaguars. It's not like there's any Jaguars in Jacksonville, not to my knowledge, at least. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think overall my prediction is in the range of 8 to 9 wins as well. But if Trevor Lawrence does play well, I think they could be a 10 to 11 win team. I really think that there's a
Yeah.
lot of potential here.
Nah, for real. And because you have your top returning receiver and Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh,
coming
and
back,
he's
who led the team
phenomenal.
receiving yards. Dude's a beast.
BTJ
Diami
is
Brown, you got a star rookie. And I forgot they did add to their offensive line as well. They added center Robert Hainsey, offensive tackle Patrick McCarry, Chuma Udoga, and Fred
yeah,
Johnson. So you got some pieces now. You added to your offensive line. You got weapons offensively in the passing game. That's where you guys struggled in the passing game last year. Lawrence, now it's up to you to just get the ball to your receivers, not underthrow the ball, right into their hands, or lead them into the direction of going towards the end zone, not underthrow where they got to come back.
Dude, I be getting mad. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
What happened to your arm? Like you used to rocket that thing. You used to rip it. Like I remember, like how I like really got to know about Trevor Lawrence was when he was on
Clemson, man. That's when I was watching
Beyond the Lights. When they followed him and Justin Fields. So I'm still rooting for both of them. That's
when I really watched college football too. When he was in college, I was like, "Who's this Trevor Lawrence kid they keep talking about?"
Well,
and I was really watching.
That was back in when they were in high school because they both were in Georgia. They were the number 1, number 2 players. I was just about to move to Georgia, so I wanted to know, like, okay, what
the hype was about? Yeah,
what's the hype about? I keep hearing about this kid I keep hearing about these two guys, and I'm rooting for both of them. I like Justin a little bit more, but I really like Trevor as well. He's a good guy, and I think he's got all the talent to do it. It's a matter of his execution, and like you said, stop with the underthrowing.
Yeah.
You have to lead receivers to where they can capitalize and make a play. And I think with Liam Cohen, I think what they're probably going to do, because you got to think about how the type of offense that Tampa Bay ran, they're going to make sure that the ball is getting out to in space. So you get the ball to your playmakers. You create as many one-on-one matchups as possible, especially for a guy on the outside like Brian Thomas Jr., who in year 1 showed he has what it takes to be the best, like, X receiver in the sense of like that big, tall, and fast, which we don't see as much nowadays, right? Those days of the Randy Moss, Johnson, T.O., those type of receivers don't come around often. So Brian Thomas Jr. is like the next in the line of that, next in the lineage. So I think that they're going to definitely take a lot of elements from the Tampa Bay offense and bring it to Jacksonville, because Tampa Bay also had a 2 running back offense with Rachaad White and oh my gosh, what's his name?
You're talking about with Baker?
It's gonna bother me. They're running. Who's the other running back in Bucky Irving, who had a phenomenal rookie year, right? They've got a great running back room over there. Bucky Irving, Rachaad White. I don't know if they have Sean Tucker anymore from Syracuse, but I really liked his game. But having the running back combo of Etienne and Bigsby, that's going to be a big help. So Jacksonville just has to put it together because they have all what it takes to be a top tier offense. Defense, still some things to assess, but offensively, they should be one of the better offenses in the AFC. Far none.
Nah, I agree with you. If they put it all together, and yeah, he should try to really emulate Baker Mayfield, how he turned around his career, like completely 180 that thing. He completely 360, excuse me. Because Baker Mayfield early on in his career, everybody was talking about, man, the turnovers, interceptions, like he's a bust. Oh, why would he pick number 1? But he's complete ever since he got traded to Tampa Bay. It's been different. It's been totally different.
You know what it was? It was that Monday Night Football game when he was on the Rams when they beat the Raiders, I believe. And him playing under McVay. McVay is probably the best offensive mind in the NFL. I'd say it's like him, Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell out in Minnesota. But I put Liam Cohen in that category of top offensive minds. And that type of impact is what people want to see from Trevor. They want to see him take that lead.
Trevor Lawrence, let's go, man. This is him and Justin Fields, honestly. I think it's make or break year for them. This is it for both of them. So
well, with Justin, I think what's tough is that he's not had the personnel that Trevor's had. I do feel like Justin, if you put him in this offense, would thrive.
Yeah. And now this is the first time he actually has like real opportunity to be the full throttle number one.
Because he's kind of been put on a leash with it, you know. And now he's getting a chance to really. But we're gonna see, because the Jets still don't have a lot of weapons outside of Garrett Wilson, and they got a good running back. Outside of that, we'll see who emerges at the 2 and 3 spot.
Yeah. But the last team in AFC South we have is the Houston Texans. Last season 10-7, they won the AFC South division. So some notes I have here: they acquired wide receiver Christian Kirk from Jacksonville. He adds additional depth to the receiving lineup. I like him alongside Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I know Dell, unfortunately, is expected to miss the entire season, but you still have Nico Collins there. You still have John Mechie III, who can be a third option for the team. Christian Kirk is somebody who has been a 1,000-yard receiving season before in his career in 2022, so he's capable of being a reliable threat. You drafted wide receiver Jaden Higgins at Ohio State. You have offensive lineman and Ariante Ursary in the first 2 rounds. You drafted those guys. You appointed Nick Caley as the offensive coordinator. You elevated Cole Popovich to the position of the offensive line coach. Offensive line has been, I've heard reports and watching and looking at articles that they've been developing a nasty streak. The offensive line's getting better, stronger. I was like, okay, hopefully they can do it during the season, because last year they had a lackluster offensive line. 30th in QB sack percentage last season, which was last according to Pro Football Focus. CJ Stroud, he kind of had a tendency last season to hold the ball too long. You want to see him get the ball out quicker. They had a 10.7 sack rate in the face of the blitz, which was 27th last year, which cannot be excused. And then they were 17th in time to throw against the blitz last year as well. They signed the cornerback and Super Bowl champion with the Eagles, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So he brings championship experience and has been in big games, which I know the Texans are trying to get to the next level. So he adds to that. And they signed a former Pro Bowl offensive lineman, Lincoln Tomlinson. And they added former All-Pro and Pro Bowl running back Nick Chubb, who is one of the best running backs in the league when he's right. He even said he should be compared to Derrick Henry. He should be getting paid like him, because he feels like he has a powerful running game, which he does. And I like their 2-man running dynamic they have now, Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. So you have like a swift, agile running back and Joe Mixon, who's agile, who's not really a power back, but then you have Nick Chubb, who brings that brute force, that power, who can knock defenders off of him. And yeah, I think those two is going to be a great dynamic for the Texans. And they still have a great defense. They finished 3rd in QB sack percentage last year, 4th in sacks, 1st in opponent completion percentage allowed, and 9th in opponent rushing yards per game. So their defense, I'm not really worried about. They did lose their Pro Bowl offensive tackle, Laramie Tunsil, to Washington, which was, I know it's going to be a big blow to the offensive line, and offensive guard Shaq Mason. But I think due to how elite their defense is, the running back dynamic with Chubb and Mixon, I think Stroud is going to come out that sophomore slump he kind of had last season and showed us what he did his rookie season, but on a different type of level. Now that he's more experienced, he's been through the slumps. He's heard everybody phrase him in his rookie year like, "Oh, you're like an MVP candidate," to like everybody was kind of criticizing him last year. That's kind of how the cycle goes in sports. When you're a new toy, everybody loves you. You're the new shiny toy. You're the next best thing. But once you show any sign of weaknesses or anything, it's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Oh, this is how the cycle goes when it comes to greatness. So I think CJ Stroud, he's been through the lumps now. He's been through the growing pains. And then he's going to take that next step this year. Now that he has another great running back with him, and he has some added wide receiver weapons. I think they're going to be a team 11-6 is my prediction, and they make the playoffs. I think they're going to be solid.
I think more of the same as well. I think with CJ Stroud, I was I was talking him up like he was going to be top 5 last year. I can't lie. The thing with
Hey,
CJ,
you never know. He might enter that
I
conversation
think he
this
can.
year if he could get them to
I
the next
think he
level.
has all the talent and ability. He has one of the cleanest throwing releases that I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I
Yep.
love watching him in the pocket. Um, I feel like last year, I understand that he didn't light the world on fire, but their O-line was incredibly, incredibly just porous. He had no
Yeah.
time to throw. He lost Diggs got hurt within the first, like 5 weeks or something like
Yeah, for
that.
the first 5 or 6 weeks.
And then Tank Dell went down, and that was one of the most
That was
gruesome
a big
injuries.
blow, man.
That was one of the most gruesome injuries I've
And he's
seen.
still going to miss all this season too. So
And yet he almost beat the Chiefs, playing. It was just him and Mixon and Dalton Schultz out there for real. And
yeah,
Nico Collins, because I had Nico Collins in fantasy. Nico Collins got hurt at
yeah,
one point of the year. So it's really hard to assess a quarterback when everyone around you is going down. It's very hard because it's like it's a team game and you need certain guys to step up. And it was year 2, to
yep,
expect that, okay, he's going to be able to still, turn, he's still able to make lemonade out of lemons without the right personnel. It's a bit audacious,
yeah,
but because of how much promise he showed early on, it makes sense why the expectation would be so high. But I do feel like D'Amico Ryans is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I really feel like those guys in Houston, they want to run through a wall for him. And they've got a great defense. They've got a lot of talent there. You know what I'm saying? Danielle Hunter is one of the best defensive linemen in the league. He's a perennial sack leader. You still got a guy over there, like you still got guys in the edges like Mario Edwards and Sheldon Rankins. On the corner side, Derek Stingley is a top 5 corner. Kamari Lassiter is showing, why he was a highly regarded corner coming out of college, out of Georgia. They've got a lot of pieces. I really like. Oh, I love Kalen Bullock. I think he's going to be something to be on the lookout. You know what I'm saying? They've got a lot of talent with him. Getting a guy like CD Deuce, as a Saints fan, I love the pickup because he plays nasty, he plays mean, and that's what they need. And then you got Jalen Petrie there still, who is a dog. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have as big of a season as he did his rookie year, similar to CJ, but I think that just as a whole, in totality, the team is going to re-centerize to where they were before. And then the running back duo, Mixon and Chubb. I love Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is, to me, is probably one of the most underrated running backs in NFL history. And if it wasn't for injury, he would be talked about a lot more. But I
yeah.
think that at this stage of his career, with all those injuries, having him as your number 2 running back, that you can do a lot with that. If Nick Chubb is your number 2 running back,
That's
you're in
you're gonna be
you're in a
really
good spot.
good.
You're in a
You're gonna be
good
really
spot.
good.
You're in a good
That's a
spot.
piece right there.
And God forbid, but worst come to worst, something happens with CJ, Davis Mills is a good backup. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? He's been in the league for a while. He's not a floor raiser or anything like that, but he can keep you steady. He can keep you afloat.
yeah,
And then you mentioned the Christian Kirk pickup. That was an
yep,
underrated pickup for them because I was quite confused on why Jacksonville didn't want to have him there longer. He was their best
yeah.
route runner, but
I guess they're like, oh, we got Travis Hunter now. We don't need him.
that's how I looked
That's
at it a
probably how
little
they
bit too.
thought about it. And we got him on a cheaper deal. He's on a rookie contract.
But it was a great pickup for them, and hopefully they're able to maintain. Hopefully they're able to maintain their consistency. You know what I'm saying? They do have to just pray and hope that the injury bug doesn't affect them, because
Yeah,
that's been the one thing for them over the years, that it's always been about injuries, right? It's always been, even back when they had Matt Schaub. They
hmm,
never had that. They never had those teams fully healthy at once. Either Andre
yeah.
Johnson was hurt, Arian Foster was hurt, Owen Daniels was hurt. Now this is a new dawn, a new day, but you need to make sure that these guys all stay healthy. Because if they do, then you're looking at a team that could potentially be an 11-12 win team, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. Looking at
Yeah.
their schedule, they've got some competition though.
Yeah.
They do not have an easy schedule. They're
No.
out the gate. They're out the gate,
Playing the Rams first, then they got the Buccaneers second. Jaguars, I think they could beat the Jaguars. Titans, that's an easy dub. Ravens, though, week 5.
And they're going to Baltimore.
They're going to Baltimore.
That's a big difference. And Baltimore came into their home last year on Christmas Day and spanked them. Spanked them. Even though they had Beyonce singing, repping her hometown, it didn't matter. You could have put anybody up there, and they got whooped, thraxed, throttled. And then they go on a pretty good, they go from Baltimore to
Seahawks
Seattle
after 49ers. Broncos going to be a tough one. That's going to be
a big one for them.
That's going to be a tough one.
They got Buffalo on the 20th.
Yeah, they got the Chiefs too.
I mean, they have like they have a decent schedule, but they don't have the easiest schedule. So it's going to be big for them to make sure that they stay healthy, they keep CJ Stroud upright, and that they're able to keep their defense playing at the level that it was last year. Because if their defense is strong, that's going to make it's still strong. That's going to make everything else flow easier. But they got to protect CJ Stroud. That's number one priority. Protect CJ Stroud because he can make a lot happen. We saw what he did with a depleted team against the Chiefs. They nearly won.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think they're an 11-12 win team easily.
And then we make our division picks before we go to the AFC North. I have the Texans winning this division. I think it's I got the Texans easy one. Unless the Jaguars really surprise people, or the Colts if they get the QB situation. So there's some wild cards in this division. It's not as clean cut, dry to me like the AFC East. Like when me and Manny we predicted the Bills, I was like nobody's messing with the Bills. But in this division, there's some wild cards because
I'm not even going to put them up there. I love my Pats, but no, we just got.
It's a good thing you weren't in that episode because you would have been hurt.
Look, we just got thrashed by the Giants in preseason yesterday.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch NFL preseason. I don't watch preseason. I care about the real thing. Once that starts, that's when I start watching. Preseason's like I'm watching third stringers. What am I really getting? You know what I'm saying?
Man, we made Tommy DeVito look like Joe Montana. There was no words to be had. There was nothing of positive note to be said.
Nah.
So
Tommy DeVito, oh man, remember when he was on the Giants?
He's still on the Giants.
Yeah, he's still. I know. Oh yeah, he's still on the Giants. I forgot, but I was bro,
they still got Tommy Cutlets out there. So,
oh man, Tommy DeVito, man. Everybody's. I'm not even gonna get to that anyway. But yeah, I got the Texans winning this division. But yeah, the Jaguars, Colts, they could get the QB situation if they can figure out the quarterback position. Those two teams, and they get consistency and productivity. Those teams could be some of the surprise teams this NFL season because I feel like they have a lot of good other weapons. But yeah, who's your division winner for the AFC South?
Houston. Excellent. But Houston, we got a problem if you cannot protect CJ Stroud, okay? Yeah. We got a problem, Houston, if you cannot protect CJ Stroud.
Amen. Well, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the AFC South edition episode here on the DJ Sports Show. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Anybody know love sports as football season's quickly coming upon us. I'm your host, DJ Hamilton, DJ Sports Show, and we'll see y'all in the AFC North episode. Peace.
Deuces.